GM's Cruise has often compared itself to Tesla and said that it's better because they have level 3 autonomous driving in California. Not anymore. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This is very recently over the wire here within the last hour or so. This is from Reuters. There's also a Bloomberg article and also something from Whole Mars on X. I will leave a link to all of these in the description so you can check them out at more length. There's not a lot of detail at this point. Anyway, starting with the Reuters report, California suspends GM Cruise's autonomous vehicle deployment. California suspended GM's Cruise autonomous vehicle deployment and driverless testing permits effective immediately. The state's Department of Motor Vehicles said in a statement on Tuesday, that would be today. When there is an unreasonable risk to public safety, the DMV can immediately suspend or revoke permits, the regulator said. It added this decision does not impact the company's permit for testing with a safety driver. So of course, safety driver being somebody in the car seat, like with a Tesla, for example. In August, so a couple of months ago, the regulator said it was investigating, quote, concerning incidents involving autonomous vehicles operated by Cruise in San Francisco and asked the company to take half its robotaxis off the roads. In August, a Cruise robotaxi was involved in a crash with an emergency vehicle in San Francisco. Cruise was not immediately available for comment. And then we get mostly the same thing from Bloomberg, but I wanted to add this one little extra part down here. The move comes after a string of high-profile accidents in San Francisco involving fire trucks and pedestrians. So it appears what's going on here is that the regulators looked at the data and they said, whoa, this is too dangerous. There are emergency vehicles involved. There's pedestrians involved. There's also long duration traffic jams that have happened with Cruise vehicles in San Francisco, where one of them has gotten hung up and it wasn't like it got into an accident or something. It was still fine, but it would block traffic and traffic would get hung up and people would become very angry about that as well. So I think that it's probably in addition to the accidents, there's also the annoyance factor as well. But overall, of course, this is not a great look for GM or Cruise. And then, of course, if you want to find out what's really going on, just check out Whole Mars' catalog on X. He says, this is an extremely embarrassing moment for real Dan O'Dowd and his Dawn campaign of fraud and lies. For months, he advocated for and promoted Cruise, claiming it was safe for consumers to use. California just found it posed a risk to the public. Dan put lives at risk. Then he put a couple of pictures up, this one from September 8th and September 15th. Dave Lee said, there's a misconception going around that Tesla is behind with FSD because other companies are testing more autonomous vehicles at SAE level 3 through 5 than Tesla. Dan responded to that. Now that even the most devout cult members can see that Waymo and Cruise are way ahead of Tesla's full self-driving, here comes prophet Dave Lee to give everybody the new dogma. The cult's new party line is that being behind in technology has always been the strategy. So first of all, I know Dave, and Dave is not exactly a prophet or anything like that. He is a very down-to-earth, reasonable person, and it's a little bit of an unfair characterization here. And you can see Dan O'Dowd going with the ad hominem attacks because, generally speaking, when people don't have a good argument, they usually go after the person instead. And then two more from mid-September. James said, wow, Dan, that lost? No, they previously planned to compete the project with code like Waymo does, but they had Karpathy, Ashok, and the best in the world, so turns out they literally moved state-of-the-art, and it goes on and on and on. And Dan responded to that, Tesla has done nothing to advance the state-of-the-art in AI, and that's just ridiculous. Elon's version 12 FSD live stream drive tried to run a red light in the first 20 minutes. No difference from version 11, 1,000 times worse mean time between failures as Waymo's AI and Cruise's AI. The usual FSD clown show. And then a final word here from Whole Mars from just a few minutes ago. I am convinced this guy will burn in hell. Promoting a dangerous autonomous car service eliminates any credibility he had on the subject, and he did it all to make money. Money is more important than people's lives to him. Green Hills Software profits from war and death. So that last sentence might seem over the top, but Green Hills Software does actually supply a lot of software to the military, so you could make an argument that way. And of course, you could argue that Whole Mars is overstating his case as well. But the fact remains that Dan O'Dowd was very much behind Cruise and Waymo, as far as I know, is still okay with all of this stuff. But behind Cruise in particular, and Whole Mars is right to point out the fact that Dan O'Dowd was incorrect about this. What's more important than than these personal attacks, and Dan O'Dowd has attacked me as well, so I'm part of this crowd as well right now. I've offered to go and test the vehicles with him, but he will not take me up on it. But anyway, what's more important than these personal attacks is what's going on with GM and Cruise here. This is a major blow to the drive towards full autonomy. It's quite clear from what's happened with Cruise in particular, I think Waymo to some extent, but Waymo has been a little bit more under the radar, which is a good thing in this case. Cruise has been very publicly involved in several incidents that have been, like I said, annoyances like traffic jams, but also accidents as well. And what that means to me is that they requested regulatory approval before they really had the technology in hand. That's not honestly that surprising given the fact that they had so few miles driven. One of the things that Tesla has discovered over time with the, hundreds of millions of miles that they've driven on FSD at this point, that we have driven on FSD at this point, is that what you thought would work originally doesn't actually work. And this is the kind of thing that Cruise, and I assume Waymo as well, are discovering. And the problem is, with only a few tens of thousands of miles under your belt, you actually don't even know what you don't know. So you could argue that Cruise actually didn't know what they didn't know in this case, and they didn't realize how dangerous these vehicles would be in corner cases. So with luck, this won't actually extend to Waymo, and it will only be Cruise, because Cruise is in particular violation of the California regulations and everything. But this could put a big black eye on attempts to get autonomy in the state of California further than just Cruise and Waymo at this point, and i.e. Tesla when the time comes. So as far as public safety is concerned, this is actually a good thing. If these vehicles are, to blame for accidents and annoyances as well, they should be reduced or removed from autonomous driving and put back into test mode so that the company can gain more data and they can prove again that the car is safe to drive. But the problem, of course, is that this creates a public perception that, look, we made this attempt, but then we pulled back from it. And that's unfortunate. It could put the effort to get autonomous driving on the roads behind by a year or two or even more if California decided this was a bad idea. So anyway, while I was very pleased to see Cruise and Waymo get the ability to do autonomous driving, because I thought that was a good push on California's part to begin to roll out autonomy, this is a very unfortunate rollback of that whole circumstance. All right, what do you think about this whole situation? Do you think that California was correct to roll this back, or should they have kept plowing ahead? Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it fun and interesting and thought-provoking. If you did, please do like it so other people can find it. And of course, consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my Patreon patrons, my YouTube channel members, and my ex-subscribers. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel in any way that you can. And of course, if you want to join any of the teams, just check out the links in the description. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have TeslaBot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on. So check it out. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a new Tesla, a solar roof, or Powerwall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.